Lakers do not have any timeouts. The Heat in the penalty, so they can't foul. Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up at the buzzer. Banks it in! Oh, he banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
This is Kobe Bryant, 6'6" guard out of Lower Merion High School. One of the most feared assassins that have ever touched the basketball.
Lucas.
Well, that's if you watch them at least. Because if you have to go off what these experts like Max Kellerman.
Under pressure, yes, Kawhi is better than Kobe was.
Or Jason Whitlock.
He was never number one, he was never number two. A lot of times he wasn't even in the top 5. During his own era, there were far better players all the time.
They'd have you thinking that you were talking about some overhyped scrub that never won anything. So I'd like to take the next couple minutes just to remind the people who forgot just who Kobe was. Sup guys, it's FLB, and I'd like to personally welcome y'all to the channel. I'm happy you decided to give this video a chance, and I hope that you leave here more informed. If you liked the video, then I'd hope you subscribe and leave a like, because we'll be doing this 3 times a week, and I know I have some things planned that if you guys like this video, then I know you like those too. But with that being said, let's get back to what you came here for. One thing I think we all loved about Kobe is that in the simplest terms, he was a bucket. The man would go out and make shots that we would practice on empty courts in the park, but he'd do it against NBA players while arguably in the toughest era and the strongest conference in the league. He would give you an efficient 30 and it would just be another game. But for some reason, he has a reputation of being an inefficient shot chucker, which couldn't be farthest from the truth, and the numbers prove that. In this graph, I took the time to collect the shooting percentages and shot attempts of every volume shooter over 20 attempts from 2000 to the year 2010. And I decided to exclude the bigs since perimeter players take far more inefficient shots, which leads to a lower field goal percentage. In this graph, the further upper right a player is, the better they shot, and the further lower left, the worse they shot. And throughout the 10-year time span, some of these players only show up once, and these are the players who have no pigmentation around their field goal percentages. Those players are Jerry Stackhouse, Gary Payton, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Joe Johnson, Dwayne Wade, and Kevin Durant. These guys, through the year 2000 and 2010, only have 1 year of shooting above 20 attempts, and the darker shades are the players with more than 1 season shooting above 20 attempts. And to no surprise, Kobe has been the one doing it the longest, with 9 out of the plotted 10 years shooting above 20 attempts. But out of all players that have multiple seasons, LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony are the only players with a higher field goal percentage, with Melo only having 2 seasons shooting above 20 attempts compared to Kobe's 9. Now as you go down the list, you find players like Gilbert Arenas with 2 seasons, Vince Carter with 3, and Tracy McGrady and Allen Iverson with 5. This shows that throughout Kobe's prime, he was the second most efficient volume shooter at 46%, only behind LeBron James, who only had a 6-year span of shooting 48%. This feat becomes even more impressive when you realize that from 2000 to 2004, Kobe played with a dominant paint presence like Shaq, limiting his driving lanes to the hoop and forcing him to take more jump shots. Overall, it really shows how well Kobe performed, considering that there's a lot of players that were drafted with him who are Hall of Famers like Ray Allen, Vince Carter, and Allen Iverson that couldn't keep up the same level of production for even close to as long. Lastly, we have clutch stats. Now from as far back as I can remember, Kobe's been the man that you want the ball in his hands the most during crunch time. But ever since his retirement, the media has tried to force this narrative that Kobe wasn't even as clutch as we remember, even going as far as to say that Kawhi Leonard, who as great as he is still no Kobe, is more clutch. These claims come from so-called ESPN expert analysts are absurd, and as shown in the 09-10 season, Kobe's last ring, and the year he made 6 game winners to propel the Lakers to the 1st seed. In that year, if Kobe even misses half of those shots, the Lakers move down to the 4th seed, and if he misses all of them, the 6th seed, losing home court advantage, and considering that the Lakers won 11 out of their 12 home games in the playoffs, and lost 6 of their 11 road games, who knows? We'd probably be looking at a Kobe with 4 rings, 1 Finals MVP, and the only ring coming away from Shaq was against the ill-prepared Magic. Overall, it seems like since Kobe's retired from terrorizing our favorite teams, we forgot just how truly great he was. I hope this video gave you guys some insight on what Kobe was truly capable of. With that being said, this has been FLB, that's my time, and I'm out.